The champagne glass felt cold in my hand as I stood at the edge of the reception. White roses everywhere. String quartet playing softly. Everyone smiled, unaware of what was coming. I raised my glass high. The clinking stopped. All eyes turned to me. "A toast," I said clearly, "to my wife and her new husband, my assistant." Victoria's face went pale. Marcus dropped his fork. The silence spread like spilled wine across white tablecloth. "You look surprised, Victoria. Don't be. Dead men have a habit of showing up when least expected." Someone gasped. A phone camera turned toward me. I didn't move, didn't blink. "Congratulations on your wedding. I hope you'll enjoy the gift I brought, the truth." I set down my glass and smiled. Not with anger. With something colder. Something that had been growing inside me for 6 months while they thought I was gone. The reception had just become a funeral for their lies. I built Quantum Dynamics from nothing. A tiny apartment, a laptop, endless nights writing code that nobody believed would work. By 36, my company was worth $3 billion. But I hated the attention. The interviews. The photographs. The fake smiles at conferences. So I hired Marcus Flynn as my public face. He loved cameras. He loved being called brilliant by people who didn't understand what we actually did. I stayed in the background, signing documents, making decisions, controlling everything while the world thought Marcus was the genius. It worked perfectly. He got fame. I got power. When I met Victoria at a charity event, I told her I was a software consultant. Nothing special. She seemed charmed by my simplicity. I wanted someone who would love me without knowing my bank account. I thought I'd found her. I was wrong. We married quietly at City Hall. Just us, 2 witnesses, and a judge who rushed through the ceremony. I bought her a comfortable house in the suburbs. Nothing flashy. We cooked together on weekends. Watched old movies. Lived simply. For 8 months, she seemed happy. Then something changed. Her friends started posting pictures from luxury vacations. Designer bags. Private jets. She began scrolling through their feeds with hungry eyes. "Don't you want more?" she asked one evening. "More what?" "Everything. Success. Recognition. A life that matters." "I have what matters," I said. "You." She looked away. That should have been my warning. But love makes you blind. Or maybe just stupid. I kept believing we could be enough for each other. The complaints started small. The house was too far from downtown. My car was too old. Her friends asked questions about what I did. I should have seen where this was heading. "I need something for myself," Victoria said one morning. "A career. Something meaningful." Of course. "What interests you?" "Design. Marketing. Something creative." I made a call. Anonymous recommendation. Within a week, she had an interview at Quantum Dynamics. She never knew I owned the building she walked into. She never knew I read her hiring paperwork. She never knew I approved her salary. Marcus called me 2 weeks later. "Boss, interesting development. New designer on the marketing team. Victoria Laurent. She's talented." My stomach tightened. "Is she?" "Yeah. Actually, funny thing. She reminds me of a girl I dated in college. Same smile. Same energy." I said nothing. Small world, right? Marcus laughed. I hung up and stared at my office wall. Coincidence. That's all it was. 2 months passed. I told myself everything was fine. Then Marcus mentioned her again. And again. Marcus called on a Tuesday afternoon. "Strange thing, boss. Victoria mentioned her husband died. Car accident last year." The room tilted. I gripped my desk. "What did you say?" "Her husband. She's a widow. Tragic story. She doesn't talk about it much." My voice came out steady somehow. "People grieve differently." "Yeah, makes sense. Just thought it was sad. She's so young." After he hung up, I sat frozen for 20 minutes. She told him I was dead. I drove home early. Victoria was humming in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. "How was work?" I asked. "Good. Busy. How was yours?" "Fine." We ate in silence. She seemed lighter than usual. Happier. That night she started a fight about money. How we never went anywhere. How her friends pitied her boring life. Maybe we need space, she said. Space. Time apart. To figure things out. I moved into a hotel the next day. She promised it was temporary. I believed her because I was still fool enough to hope. I texted her every morning. Good morning. I love you. I miss you. She rarely replied. When she did, it was brief. Cold. I drove past our house one evening. New curtains in the windows. A sleek car in the driveway. Not mine. I told myself she was just finding herself. People need room to grow. Then I saw the photo. Marcus had posted it on his company account. Him in a tuxedo. Victoria in a red dress. His hand on her waist. Her head on his shoulder. Caption: New chapters begin when you least expect them. Comments flooded in. Congratulations. You two look perfect together. So happy for you both. I stared at my phone until the screen went dark. My wife had buried me without a funeral. She'd moved on while telling everyone I was gone. I finally understood. I wasn't dead. I was erased. I accessed her company email through administrative channels. Everything Marcus and Victoria shared went through Quantum servers. Travel bookings. Hotel receipts. Paris. Tokyo. Milan. All on company cards, claimed as business expenses. But buried in their messages were other files. Legal drafts. Shell companies. Stock transfer proposals. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning a takeover. Marcus had been slowly moving assets, setting up accounts, preparing to push me out while I grieved a marriage that no longer existed. Victoria was helping him. Her design skills weren't for marketing. They were for creating false documents. I printed everything. Each page another nail in their coffin. Then I smiled for the first time in weeks. They thought I was suffering. I was collecting evidence. Marcus always wanted more than a salary. He wanted ownership. Control. The glory he thought he deserved. He believed I hid from the spotlight because I was weak. He never understood I simply hated noise. Now he had Victoria whispering in his ear, telling him he was brilliant, that he deserved everything, that I was the obstacle between him and destiny. Together they were dangerous, ambitious, reckless. But they made one critical mistake. Every file they touched logged to my private server. Every transaction required my hidden approval. Every move they made was choreographed by systems I'd built years ago. They were playing chess. I was playing a different game entirely. I watched their plans develop like a storm I could see coming from miles away. And I prepared. I left my downtown apartment and moved to a cabin by Clearwater Lake. No neighbors. No internet trail. Just me and silence. From there, I monitored everything remotely. Every email. Every meeting. Every lie. They thought I was broken. Maybe traveling. Maybe grieving. I was watching them dig deeper. Marcus filed paperwork for a new division within Quantum. Victoria signed as creative director. They were building their empire inside mine. Let them finish. A thief caught mid-crime can claim intent. A thief caught with stolen goods has no defense. I waited for them to make their final move. From my cabin window, I watched eagles hunt over the water. Patient. Silent. Deadly. I learned from them. At midnight, I called corporate counsel. Not the company lawyers Marcus knew. My personal attorney, contracted through a holding company he'd never heard of. Transfer all controlling shares of Quantum Dynamics to Apex Holdings, I said. Everything. Everything. Then draft a compliance clause. Any executive proven to engage in fraudulent acquisition forfeits equity and personal assets tied to the corporation. That's nuclear, sir. That's necessary. The paperwork was ready by morning. Routine updates. Standard corporate maintenance. Marcus would sign without reading. He always did. The trap was set. I just needed him to walk into it. Marcus breezed into the conference room that Friday morning, coffee in hand, confidence in every step. Morning, boss. You wanted to see me? Routine compliance updates. New investor requirements. Just sign where marked. I slid the folder across the table. 20 pages of legal text. He flipped through without reading a word. Always something, huh? He scribbled his signature on page 12. Page 17. Page 19. Done. Thanks for making this easy, I said. No problem. Anything else? That's all. Have a good weekend. He left whistling. I closed the folder slowly. The document he'd just signed made him legally responsible for any fraudulent activity. It gave me power to seize his assets if proven. He just handed me the knife I'd need later. I called my attorney. It's done. What now? Now we wait for them to finish stealing. Through intercepted messages, I watched Victoria coach Marcus. She sent him strategies. Ways to position himself as indispensable. Ways to make me look incompetent. Tell the board he's losing focus. That the company needs fresh vision. That you've been carrying the real weight. Marcus ate it up. He started speaking differently in meetings. Questioning my decisions. Suggesting alternative approaches. The board noticed. Some sided with him. He was charismatic. Convincing. He didn't know I'd founded the company with 3 of those board members. That their loyalty ran deeper than charm. Victoria sent another message. He'll never see this coming. I whispered to my screen, I already saw it 6 months ago. They got bolder. Forged authorization codes. Used old credentials they thought I'd forgotten about. The irony was beautiful. I'd built those security systems. Every bypass attempt logged directly to my private server. They created a fake approval from me, transferring research assets to a subsidiary Marcus controlled. Their IP addresses. Timestamps. Digital fingerprints everywhere. They were writing their confession in code, thinking nobody could read it. I saved every piece. Organized it. Prepared it for the moment when I'd need it most. Patience, I reminded myself. Let them commit fully. I stopped responding to Marcus's updates. Let my emails go unread. Missed 2 board meetings. He took it as weakness. Started telling people I was stepping back. That leadership was transitioning. Meanwhile, Victoria filed paperwork to legally remove my surname. Back to her maiden name. The dead husband had to stay dead for her new story to work. Perfect. Let them believe it. I watched from Clearwater Lake as they planned their future on the ashes of my supposed absence. Everything was falling into place. The invitation arrived by courier. Heavy carts of gold embossing. Marcus Flynn and Victoria Loran invite you to celebrate their union at Villa Serenita, Lake Como, Italy. Inside was a handwritten note in Marcus's precise handwriting. You've been a mentor and friend. It would mean everything if you joined us for this new beginning. I sat on my cabin porch and laughed. Actually laughed. Mentor. Friend. New beginning. They were inviting me to watch them celebrate my erasure. I poured bourbon and read the invitation again. Then I made travel arrangements. If they wanted an audience for their triumph, I'd give them one. But the script was going to change. I gathered documents. The compliance forms Marcus signed. The forged authorizations. The shell company records. The travel expenses. The marriage certificate, still legal, still valid. Everything fit into a black leather folder. I also prepared a presentation. Professional. Devastating. My attorney reviewed everything. This will destroy them. That's the idea. You're sure? I thought about Victoria's lies. Marcus's betrayal. The months of manipulation. Completely sure. I booked a flight to Milan, then a car to Lake Como. First class. Why not? I could afford it. The plan wasn't violence. It was truth. Sometimes truth cuts deeper than any weapon. Villa Serenita sat on the water like a jewel. Cypress trees. Marble terraces. Sunset painting everything gold. Guests mingled in expensive clothes, drinking expensive wine, celebrating expensive lies. I arrived during cocktail hour. Simple suit. No tie. Marcus saw me first. His champagne glass paused halfway to his mouth. Confusion flickered across his face. I smiled and raised my glass to him across the terrace. Victoria turned. Her face drained of color. Elias, she mouthed. I walked toward them slowly. Guests parted without knowing why. Congratulations, I said pleasantly. Beautiful venue. You both look happy. Marcus recovered first. I didn't think you'd make it. Wouldn't miss it. After all, it's not every day your wife remarries. Victoria's hand trembled. Elias, we should talk. Later. Let's not ruin your reception. I'll save my speech for the toasts. I walked away, leaving them frozen. Dinner was spectacular. 5 courses. Wine from vineyards older than countries. I sat at a side table watching Marcus and Victoria at the head table, both tense, both whispering frantically. Guests gave speeches. Funny stories. Warm wishes. Laughter echoed across the water. Then the DJ announced, "We have one more toast. Elias Monroe would like to say a few words." I stood. Walked to the microphone. The black folder under my arm. Thank you. I'll be brief. First, congratulations to Marcus and Victoria. You make a striking couple. Applause. Smiles. I've known Marcus for 8 years. Trusted him. Believed in him. He was my right hand at quantum dynamics. Marcus nodded nervously. And Victoria, I turned to her. Victoria is my wife. The applause died. Confusion spread. Still legally married, actually, since our divorce was never finalized. Small detail. Guess. Whispers. Phones came out. Marcus stood. Elias, what are you? Sit down, Marcus. I'm not finished. I opened the folder. Placed documents on the display table beside the wedding cake. These are bank records, showing fraudulent transfers from Quantum Dynamics to accounts Marcus controls. Funded your honeymoon early, I see. The screens behind me lit up. Projected emails. Financial statements. Timestamps. These are forged authorizations. Using my credentials. My signature. To move company assets. Victoria covered her mouth. Marcus lunged toward the console. Security stopped him. I'd hired them hours earlier. And this, I held up the marriage certificate, is proof that Victoria committed bigamy. You can't marry someone when you're already married. Silence. Complete. Absolute. The police are outside. Marcus, you'll be charged with corporate fraud. Victoria, with bigamy and conspiracy. Both of you will face civil suits for damages. I closed the folder. Enjoy your wedding night. It'll be your last as free people. I walked out as chaos erupted behind me. Within an hour, news broke online. Videos from the reception went viral. CEO exposes fraud at assistant's wedding. Investors called emergency meetings. Quantum stock is locked pending investigation. The compliance clause I'd slipped past Marcus activated automatically. His shares transferred to holding. My holding. His assets froze. Victoria's accounts, tied to Marcus through shared expenses, also froze. Italian police escorted them from the villa. Cameras flashed. Guests scattered. I watched from my hotel room as their world collapsed in real time. No satisfaction. Just numbness. I'd won. But winning felt hollow. The investigation lasted 3 weeks. Every document I provided checked out. Every accusation proven. Marcus's lawyer tried claiming entrapment. The judge dismissed it. Victoria claimed ignorance. The emails proved otherwise. Both pled guilty to reduced charges. Marcus got 18 months. Victoria got 12. The house we'd shared reverted to my name. Everything they'd bought with stolen money was seized. Quantum's reputation took a hit but survived. I gave interviews. Showed my face. Explained everything. The media loved it. The betrayed genius. The patient revenge. The dramatic reveal. I hated every second. Victoria came to my office after her sentencing. No makeup. Thin. Shaking. Can we talk? I gestured to a chair. I'm sorry. I know that means nothing, but I am. Why'd you do it? I wanted more. Marcus promised more. I convinced myself you were holding me back. Was I? She looked at her hands. No. I was holding myself back. Blaming you was easier. I handed her an envelope. Relocation fund. Enough to start over somewhere else. Why? Because I'm tired of being angry. She took it, crying. I don't deserve this. No. But take it anyway. She left. I never saw her again. Marcus sent one email from minimum security. You outplayed me. I underestimated you. Won't happen again. I replied, there won't be an again. Take care of yourself. He never wrote back. 6 months later, I heard he was teaching coding to inmates. Maybe he'd found humility. Maybe not. Either way, he was no longer my problem. I rebuilt Quantum with transparency. No hidden owner. No shadow CEO. Just me, visible, audible. Hired new leadership. People I vetted carefully. People who valued honesty over ambition. The company thrived. Different now. Better. I gave interviews about corporate fraud. About trust. About the danger of letting ambition override ethics. Some people called me a hero. Others called me vindictive. I didn't care about either label. I'd simply protected what I built. Nothing heroic about that. Nothing vindictive either. Just necessary. Now I wake up at dawn in my cabin by Clearwater Lake. Make coffee. Watch eagles hunt. Quantum runs without me micromanaging. Good people doing good work. I still avoid cameras when I can. Still prefer silence over noise. But I'm no longer hiding. Just choosing peace over performance. Victoria tried to erase me. Marcus tried to replace me. They both failed because you can't kill someone who refuses to disappear. I didn't need revenge. I needed justice. And I took it on my terms. Sometimes people ask if I regret how it ended. The public spectacle. The dramatic reveal. I don't. They buried me in lies. I let them dig deep. Then I climbed out and showed the world what they'd done. Not revenge. Not anger. Just truth. And truth, I've learned, is the only resurrection worth having.